right. I'm here. Get them started. Music on.
Those of us that indulge in work
Hey, what's up, bro?
do so for the pleasure of mental masturbation or ego dictating. We do so because the chains of oppression on people's minds are deep and difficult to remove.
What's that? Okay. Good morning, my children of the sun. Welcome to the Open Eye on WHGE 95.3 FM. I'm your host and third eye optometrist, Patrice Gibbs, ready to get them started, ready to get that third eye open. Yes, there's a lot going on, getting a little static here, but I'm gonna work with it. All right, and as we always do, get them started. Every generation has its purpose. Ours is to reveal the truth and reverse the brainwashing. And that's what we do here. We clear your mind. Wait a minute. Let me get my disclaimer out the way so I can get that over with. All right.
The views and opinions expressed on Open Eye are those of the hosts, guests, and contributors, and do not reflect the policy or position of WHGE 95.3 FM nor our sponsor, the Delaware Center for Homeless Vets. Any content provided by Open Eye's hosts, guests, or contributors are theirs and are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, company, or individual.
All right. Yes, sir. Let's get them going. All right. I got a message here from my mom. May she rest in power. My mama said, some of us raised the wild ones, the room wreckers and reality checkers, the fire-tongued and fierce leaders, the wild-hearted and world changers. These kids can argue like a prosecutor when you just wish they'd say, yes, mama, and move on. But one day, they will use those skills to stand up for themselves and for the people they love, and for perfect strangers, because injustice doesn't live in their world. Hey, Steve. Yeah, buddy. Have you ever seen people get that look? It's that moment you find out African spirituality, religion, and magic is not demonic, mythological, hocus pocus, but works based on mathematics and science. That's why Kemetic philosophy is called Kemetic science. And for those of you that think honoring our ancestors is demonic or a matter of belief, ancestors are not a matter of belief. You have them, whether you like it or not. They are you, you are them. Without their first existence, you wouldn't be here. This is not a matter of debate. These are teachings that you should tie them in your heart for a daily dose of remembrance. Yeah. Moving right along, let me tell you something. You know, I am an advocate of homeschooling. Because empowering black children is more than teaching them math and reading skills. They must know how to compete for wealth and power rather than poverty and acceptance. To produce rather than consume. And to be job producers rather than job seekers. Move right. And speaking of some heroes that were homeschooled. Lost a giant in the music world. Well, actually two. Because the great Frankie Beverly and Mays. And there will be a celebration of his music, as there has been all over the country. And rightfully so. He is very much beloved in our community. And you can't go to a black event or a barbecue without hearing some Frankie Beverly and Mays. Okay? Another loss we suffered was Turiano Adaro Jackson, better known as Tito. He died last Sunday at the age of 70 of a massive heart attack. He's a founding member of the group, great guitarist. As a matter of fact, without Tito, there would have been no Jackson 5. We wouldn't have heard of Michael or Jermaine or Jackie, Marlon, or the others, Randy and Janet, Rebe and Latoya. And the reason for that, when they were kids, Joe Jackson, the father, was a guitarist. And before he would go to work, he would tell his children, "Don't touch my guitar." Okay? Well, Tito couldn't resist. He just couldn't. And his mother would let him play it. And he would, when his father was out of the house, he would sneak in the closet and get his father's guitar and play it. And one day he was doing that and he broke the string. All right? Now, of course, he's scared to death because Joe Jackson's known old school father. He'd give out ass whippings, which Tito caught. And his father asked him, "Why would you do that?" "You know what? Let me here, take the guitar. Let me hear you play something." Well, to Joe Jackson's surprise, his son could play. Tito could play. 12 years old or whatever. And this kid's playing better than me. And come to find out, not only was he playing, but the three older boys, Jermaine, Jackie, and Tito, were harmonizing and singing. And eventually, they brought in Michael. Well, they heard Michael singing. He was like, "Whoa." Michael was 6, 7 years old, and his kid was blowing. And he said, "Hey, let's let Michael sing with us." And of course, Marlon said, "Can I go?" "Yeah, come on." These are their little brothers. And that's where it started. And their father took notice and said, "Hey, we got to do something with these boys because they're obviously talented." And it all stems back to Tito. Rest in peace, brother Tito. We enjoyed your music. You know, it's something we have in the black community. We have those white people that we recognize as allies. And there are some people that are allies. And I would say people like Jane Elliott and Tim Wise. You know, they speak out on racism and systemic racism. And as a rule, they take their message to white people to educate them. Okay? Now, there are another group of white people that I call accomplices. that they put themselves out there. Quincy Jones talked about one of those accomplices. Quincy Jones said in Vegas in 1964, it was racist beyond belief. It was so racist. He said, for instance, Harry Belafonte was working in the big room in one of the casinos for $17,000 a week. $17,000 a week in 1964 is probably like $100,000 now. That's what they were paying Harry Belafonte, but he was not allowed in the casino. He had to eat in the kitchen, sing, and go to a black hotel across town. Well, Frank Sinatra found out about this, and he said, okay, we're not going to have any more of that. So, when these black artists, including Quincy Jones, Count Basie and them, came in, Frank Sinatra assigned 18 Goombas to each one of them. You know what I mean by Goomba? Mob dudes. And he stopped the racism in 1 year for Basie, Sammy, Jones, Basie's band. He stopped it cold. Frank Sinatra was an accomplice. You know, it's something interesting that the mob in New York had integrated by the late 30s, their clubs and what have you. And I tell you something, you ever heard of the original Dixieland Jazz Band? Okay. It was a group of white men in the early 20s, maybe late 1900s, 19 teens or whatever, 1918, 19, whatever, around that time. They claimed they invented jazz. And they played the hokiest, corniest music. Okay? They were to the early jazz world what Pat Boone was to rock and roll. And one of the main reasons that jazz was able to spread, especially during the jazz age of the 1920s, was because Capone, Luciano, and Costello, and Siegel, and these mob dudes were all big jazz fans. And they wanted to hear the real deal. They wanted the authentic jazz. That's why Duke Ellington was at the Cotton Club. Duke Ellington was from Washington, D.C. He was invited to New York by the mob that owned the Cotton Club. He actually didn't want to go. And they thought, hey man, come on up to New York, man. You'll be big. And he said, well, I'm doing well here in D.C. and I'm big enough. And the mythology, whether it's true or not, was that the mob dudes told Duke Ellington, be big or be dead. So Duke Ellington came on up to New York and famously played in the Cotton Club. One of the, of course, biggest names in the history of jazz. Hey, babe, I see you. What's up, Steve? One of the biggest names, many consider a father of jazz. He did not invent jazz, but he was certainly responsible for its spread. And that was Satchmo, Louis Armstrong. Yeah, I remember a guy telling me Louis Armstrong was Uncle Tom. You know, of course, we know real deal with Uncle Tom, but that was the term that he used. Okay. And drama going on here with this thing. Anyway, that was one of the terms that he used. And of course, Louis Armstrong was nothing of the type. No information here from Stephen Leach. Paul F. Thompson's Dixieland Band was Wilmington's earliest jazz band, and it was integrated in the early 20th century. And for those of you who don't know, Wilmington was a bastion of jazz. Maurice Sims, our friend, said jazz came from three places. It went everywhere else. Jazz came from New Orleans, Kansas City, and Wilmington. It went to New York, it went to Chicago, it went to LA, but it came from those three places. And of course, one of the people carrying the bag for jazz was, as I said, Louis Armstrong. And those of you that may have seen him from TV shows, bucking his eyes, and, being a quote-unquote happy Negro, didn't know him. That's right, Black and Blue. Louis Armstrong recorded Black and Blue in the 20s. The first black protest song. And he recorded that during the time not only could it have ended his career, but it could have cost him his life. The last thing you did in the 1920s as a black person, you were taking your life in hand if you stood up. You're straightening your back to get your neck stretched. Louis Armstrong didn't give a damn. He was one of the most self-possessed men ever. In 1957, one of the stories I like about Louis Armstrong, 67 years ago this month, Pops blew his top in his hotel room in Grand Forks, North Dakota, over the Little Rock Central High School integration crisis, blasting Governor Orville Faubus for being two-faced and President Dwight Eisenhower for having no guts to let Faubus call in the National Guard to prevent black students from integrating the high school. The way they are treating my people in the South, the government can go to hell, he vented. It's so bad, a colored man hasn't got any country. Again, Louis Armstrong put his entire career on the line to speak out against injustice as his September 17 North Dakota comments made headlines around the world. However, a recently discovered private reel-to-reel tape owned by Armstrong found the trumpeter venting about Faubus and the Little Rock situation to interviewers on September 8th and September 10th. He had spent over a week telling everyone who would listen about the injustice going on in Little Rock. But it wasn't until reporter Larry Lupino of North Dakota ran with Louis Armstrong's September 17 comments that the story really blew up. Armstrong received little support at that time, instead getting more criticism from both the white and a lot of the black press. Today, his stance is celebrated as a landmark moment in civil rights. He knew what he had done, and he cut out various clippings about the incident, wrapped them in Scotch tape, and stuck them in a scrapbook. You can look on my page and find Armstrong's copy of a Pittsburgh Courier story about his Little Rock comments, containing some of his fiercest statements on the subject. We're glad he saved him. We're glad he spoke out. Thanks, Patrice. WHGE 95.3 FM, The Open Eye. WHGE 95.3 FM. Patrice Gibbs, your third eye optometrist here. Okay. All right. Let's look at some things that's going on. Welcome to America, where military expenditures dwarf the rest of the world, but 1 in 5 U.S. children go hungry every night. Right here in America. And you know what? You know where the highest poverty rates are? Mississippi. The poverty rate there is 19%. West Virginia, Arkansas, Louisiana, these states have the highest poverty rates. Kentucky, Alabama, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Tennessee, North Carolina, Georgia. What do these states have in common? With the exception of New Mexico, which is number 4 on the list. I'm going to tell you what these states all have in common. They're all red states. They're all Republican states, every last one of them. They're states where people constantly vote against their own interests, their own economic interests, and the reason they vote against their economic interests is because of racism. That's their one issue voters. Whoever can get up and say the most racist crap against black people, that's who they're for. I've told this story several times. I know Vaughn's heard it several times, where they, in Kentucky, number 6 on the list, they asked a Republican voter who was living in the most abject poverty and squalor you ever wanted to see. Lived in a shack. And they asked him, how could you continue to vote for Republicans with the condition of your economy in this state? He said, we don't mind if it hurt us as long as it don't help them. That's idiocy and and racism on another level. Now, one of the things that, of course, we look at is what's going on with inflation. And you got these right-wing groups putting out, this thing, Bidenomics, and it's Biden's fault. It's the corporations. That's what it is, the corporations. Brother Lawrence, I see you there. Good morning. And you look at the prices of stuff. See, things started going up during the pandemic. And our government didn't do anything to stop the price gouging. Because we know during the pandemic, the orange disaster was in office. And just to give you an idea, in January of 2020, a gallon of orange juice cost about $3. Now it's $4.30. A can of coffee was about $7. Now it's about $9. A can of soup was 99 cents. It's $1.50 now. And these prices are going on. You get 2 pounds of chicken breast you could get in 2020 for about $5. And now it's about $8. And you wonder why 1 in 5 children in America are going hungry. Now, as Hurricane Debbie ravaged the South, Now would be a good time to remind you that Project 2025 will eliminate aid for families and businesses to rebuild after storm in itself. It's on page 750. And I saw my girl Jasmine Crockett talking to these Project 2025 authors. Okay? And because, you know, the orange disaster has been trying to separate himself from Project 2025 because it's been shown to be unpopular. And she asked, how many times has Trump been mentioned? She asked one of the witnesses, one of the authors of Project 2025. Okay? How many times has Trump been mentioned in Project 2025? She said, several times. And was it more than one? More than 5 times. And of course, you know, the witness, she declared that she didn't know the exact number. And Jasmine Crockett provided the number for her because she's the queen of facts. Over 312 times Trump has been mentioned in Project 2025. Now I'll tell you about another one of these authors and what he said about Haiti. He said Haiti is such a mess because it wasn't colonized long enough. It should have had another 30 years of colonization and would be much better. No, Haiti is a mess because the imperialist powers, France, the United States, constantly oppressed and robbed Haiti. Told you last week how the U.S. Sent their military, it was in around 1915, and robbed them. Straight up robbery, armed robbery, and stole their gold resources. And this fool from Project 2025 thinks the oppression wasn't harsh enough or long enough. That's right. Pay attention. There's levels to this thing. WHGE 95.3 FM, the Open Eye. Yes, indeed. You know, it's something last week. I went to a music break, but I stayed live, of course, on Facebook. And I asked the question, who are these N-words? These black conservatives. Where in the hell did they come from? And what's wrong with them? Is it some kind of mental illness? Yeah, I had some much harsher comments. And of course, one of the fools that you have to wonder about is North Carolina gubernatorial nominee for the Republican Party, Mark Robinson. Mark Robinson, who the orange disaster called Martin Luther King on steroids. No, he's not Martin Luther King on steroids. Martin Luther King 2.0. No, he's Uncle Ruckus on steroids. This Sambo is one of the worst coons, and I don't give a damn. I know some people, oh, well, you shouldn't use that word. I'm bull. BS. Okay. This guy, CNN busted him out for making posts on a porn site. And he on there saying all kind of crazy stuff. It was from a few years ago. Of course, he's denying it all, you know. This is the lieutenant governor of North Carolina. I got some friends and family down in North Carolina. If he wins the election, and get the hell out of there, because he declared himself a black Nazi. This ignorant fool actually praised Hitler. And it gets worse. He said slavery wasn't so bad. As a matter of fact, we need to bring slavery back. I'll buy a few myself. He said that. And he meant it. And I look at some of these people that are, so against Vice President Harris. Some of these black people, some of these conservatives. Okay? And I have to wonder, what's wrong with you? What happened in your life? Okay, we know about the Candace Owens and what's her name? Stacey Dash and what have you. They're nothing but grifters. Candace Owens sold her soul to the devil. Negro peeing bedwench. She's dangerous enough. And you got people like Mark Robinson. The thing about Mark Robinson is he's a true believer. See, I don't think Candace Owens necessarily believes all the crap that she gets up and says. She says it to be accepted and paid off by white supremacists. But Mark Robinson, I think he's a whole different animal. You want to shake up the governor's race? Yeah. Expose this candidate for the unbelievably explicit comments he left on a porn website. Now, Robinson is no stranger to controversy, as he's the MAGA-backed politician. He's notorious for his divisive and borderline offensive. No, his comments are borderline. They're just straight up offensive. And like I said, referring to himself as a black Nazi. Okay. And he did on this thing called Nude Africa, pornography website. Now, some of the things, of course, he spoke against was homosexuality and this, that, and the other, transgenderism. But on the website, he on there talking about, one of the things he enjoys is transsexual sex. That's one of his fantasies. Yeah. You talk about a hypocrite and a piece of geez Louise. Now, and you know what? I'm going to take a little musical break and come right back. WHGE 95.3 FM, and then I'll finish with this. WHGE 95.3 FM, the open eye. Yeah, that's somebody outside banging. Okay. I ain't gonna stop me. Peace, Brother Jardea. Yeah, that's word. One of the people that had come to admire his work in the last few years, you know what? I'm gonna have to take another break because this banging is disturbing. Hold on. All right. Sorry about that, y'all, but had someone. Sorry about that, y'all, but had someone banging outside. All right. Now, I was saying, one of people that's popular on social media, I've admired his work and, pushed his work and what happened. And that's Tariq Nasheed. His documentary series, Hidden Colors, I would advise you to check it out. Did a good job on those documentaries, including 1804. But where I have to part company with this brother is his animosity to any black people, any Africans outside of the U.S. and in the motherland. To the extent that he seems to be pushing this division between Africans in America, whom he has termed foundational black Americans. Now I will tell you something, that we as Africans in America have become a tribe unto ourselves, a nation unto ourselves, a colonized nation, a nation of resiliency and resistance, a nation that has led and been an example to those Africans throughout the diaspora and on the motherland for freedom and justice. Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, and of course the great Marcus Garvey. Influences felt throughout the diaspora and on the motherland. You don't think so? You look at some of the flags of some of the former colonies when they gained their independence. They incorporated the red, black, and green that was created by Marcus Garvey. When Malcolm X visited Africa, he was greeted by African leaders as a head of state because they recognized his leadership in the African colony in America. And when I see this brother pushing this animosity between us and our family throughout the diaspora and on the motherland, I have to part company with that crap. And I look at his followers, and they become almost cult-like with that. And it's got to stop. And another part that I find really disturbing is his, how can I say this? His low-key support and one of the worst racists to ever sit in the White House, to ever be on the political stage in America, Donald Trump. Yeah, I had to ask, what the hell's wrong with you, brother? With all the good work that you've done, built a museum and everything. Because what I recognize is what Donald Trump and his minions plan to do with us. That's why they call that thing MAGA, Make America Great Again. Great for who? Because it sure as hell ain't going to be great for us. So I have to wonder, what the hell is wrong with you? Did you get a bag, brother? Why are you pushing this? Yeah, like I've often said, yeah, the political parties are two sides of the same coin. But that side that is obviously against us, that has stated they are against us, have every intention of turning back the clock to a time where they could freely call us N-words. You know what? And I don't want people to get mixed on this. Okay? Yes, the Democrats are responsible for mass incarceration. And I have not and will not forget about Sandra Bland, about George Floyd, both from John and Sonia Macy. Because what the orange disaster said, he wants to give the cops immunity. You think it's bad now? With cops pulling up, killing us, and not getting, arrested for it or held in any accountability? The bastard that murdered Sonia Macy is being charged with murder. If the orange disaster and his Project 25 minions get back in office, he would have immunity. Can you imagine the cops having immunity like they did in the 30s, 40s, 50s, before and beyond? They would murder us with immunity. Those numbers would go up exponentially. So yet, when I hear people, wonder, and another thing, this thing, with this animosity that some of these people are pushing. And don't get it mixed. It's on both sides of the Atlantic and throughout the diaspora. But I want to take heart and believe that these people are in the minority. As one of the things this fool got up and said was, Pan-Africanism is dead. Are you nuts? Wake up. This is Open Eye, WHGE 95.3 FM. Like I said when I went off the air last week, part of these goddamn niggers. The fuck is wrong with y'all? Jesus. Potter, I see you on there, Charles. All right, all right. You know, it's something how nuts these MAGA people are. They have no intention of letting you vote if you're black, especially. Because they can't win on the up and up. And they do everything they can to keep any information and what have you. In Florida, the president of one of these Florida HOAs, homeowner associations, I couldn't live in a neighborhood with a homeowner association. If you come up on my porch telling me what I can do on my property, you're going to find yourself in a lot of trouble. Well, one of these HOAs, their president has banned Harris 2024 yard signs. And he would go around at night and pull people's yard signs up. But only the Harris signs. Only the Harris signs. And when he was asked about this, he said, well, Trump's signs are historical because he's a former president, so those signs can stay. Okay. Okay, so those signs can stay. What a bunch of crap. What a crock, man. Well, he went around and he kept on doing this. And one of the people that had the Harris 2024 sign in their backyard or in their yard, he set up a little booby trap. And when this fool came and pulled that sign up, an explosion happened and he lost his foot. Damn. Yeah. And he said that he wanted to press charges because this was an assassination attempt. Yeah, because he was president of the HOA. And the homeowner said, it ain't no assassination attempt. This guy ain't even famous or important enough to have anyone consider an assassination. And the guy said, I'm protecting my property and my sign from somebody who might come around and try to steal it like the HOA president. So yeah, so he wound up in the hospital with a missing foot. Yeah, and the story gets wilder. You know, you might want to check the validity of the story, but the story gets wilder. You know, right? Because some of the residents in this area, they flew drones flashing Harris 2024 messages. And this HOA president got so upset about this that he went and hobbled in his house and hobbled back out with a shotgun and started shooting at him. Well, they flew the drones away. And somebody called the cops on his silly ass. And the cops asked him, what are you doing? Oh, they're flashing Harris 2024 signs from drones right over my property. And of course, the cops looked up and they didn't see no drone, so they locked his silly ass up. Damn. These people are crazy. These people are crazy. And I'm going to tell you how crazy they are. Okay? And how much they want to turn back the clock. Because one of the things that bothers them is they can't say the N-word. Without reaction. Yeah, freedom of speech, you can say it if you want to. But you're going to be held accountable for that. All right? You're going to be held accountable for that. I like to think of myself as a mature, thoughtful man. Okay? But sometimes that stuff goes out the window. Because the last time somebody called me an N-word, when the paramedics picked his ass up, he thought better of that. Accountability. Yeah, he caught these hands, held him to accountability. Now, Rich Lowry, who is the editor-in-chief of the prominent conservative magazine, The National Review, okay, in an interview with, what's that huzzy's name? Megyn Kelly, on the Megyn Kelly show, claims he mispronounced immigrant and it came out the N-word. Okay, immigrant starts with an I. M-M-I. All right? The N-word starts N-I-G-G-E-R. Okay? But, see, they were talking about, of course, where it all started. With this claim that Haitian migrants, legal Haitian migrants in Springfield, Ohio, are eating neighborhood pets. Now, the thing is, J.D. Vance, Trump's running mate, and you know, I'll tell you about J.D. Vance. Now, he got up and said, well, you know, if we got to make up stories, we have to create stories so that the media pays attention. When he was called on pushing this crap, this obvious lie that was started by a woman in Ohio who came out and said, ooh, I didn't know it was going to go this far. Who knew she was lying. Okay, this is how desperate they are. J.D. Vance, it's like Trump found the male version, what's her name? From Alaska. Somebody help me out here. He found the male version of the Princess Dumbass of the Northern Woods. You know what I mean. Sarah Palin. You know, because he done got up and said the dumbest mess in the world. And another one that sold his soul because he said that Trump, which was worse than Hitler, as bad as Hitler, and I'll never be for him. Yeah, that guy's Palin. Yeah. And he said, if we have to make up stories, make up stories. If we have to lie to get your attention, then that's what we'll do. And this idiot from the National Review, Rich Lowry, just couldn't help himself. He just couldn't help himself. Haitian N-words. And of course they try to fix it up and say, you know, he mispronounced immigrant. Don't sound nothing like it. You out your damn mind. You know, we ain't just get off the boat. And he didn't make it up. I mean, he didn't mispronounce his word. You know what? It slid off his tongue that easy because that's what he's used to saying. That's how he's used to referring to us. Haitian N-words. The thing is, can you tell me from a Haitian? See, so it puts all black people in danger. And when you idiots that are trying to separate yourself from the motherland, and because one of the things that disturbed me was what Tariq Nasheed said, forget Pan-Africanism. Now, I was raised a Pan-Africanist. And I'll tell you, a warrior scholar, the late Runoko Rashidi, give you a quote from him. This is what Runoko Rashidi said. Family, I am a Pan-Africanist. I have been all my adult life. I follow the teachings of such men and women as Marcus and Amy Jacques Garvey, Kwame Nkrumah, Patrice Lumumba, my namesake, Cheikh Anta Diop, Kwame Ture, better known, we know him as Stokely Carmichael, Malcolm X, Stephen Biko, John Henry Clark, Thomas Sankara, Walter Rodney, Peter Tosh, Bob Marley, numerous others. Pan-Africanism means different things to different people. For some, it implies the unification of Africa, but for me, it is more than that. Pan-Africanism is the global unity of the black people of the world with the Africa as its base. Call me a dreamer if you like. All great men and women are dreamers. So I dream and work for the global unity of all our people with Africa as the base and all the power that goes with it. It may take generations to achieve, but that is the goal we seek. Indeed, the harder and longer the struggle, the sweeter the victory. This does not mean that we ignore the plight of Africans in America or any other place. But that is only one phase and not the totality of the struggle. I am Pan-Africanist. Ashe. Renoka Rashid. WHGE 95.3 FM, The Open Eye. This is something that actually came out during the Orange disastrous tenure in office. Dear world, we apologize for Donald Trump. He is an embarrassment to this country, and many of us are working hard to see he doesn't get elected. Signed, Sane Americans. Cut the crap. When did Americans become sane? Trump is not an embarrassment. Trump is a revelation. This is the same country where 59 stupid-ass Americans re-elected George W. Bush. This is the same racist-ass country that elected Ronald Reagan, may he roast in hell, may the devil sodomize him with a pitchfork, elected him twice. Trump is not an embarrassment. Trump is an American as apple pie, the Star-Spangled Banner, lynchings, the KKK, murderous police, big pharma drug dealers, big oil pollution, mass incarceration, robber baron bankers, land grabbing corporations, assassinations of black leaders, racism and greed. All right? Disrespect. All right? I'm going to get ready to roll out of here, y'all. Before I go, I want to tell you something about myself. I don't hand out insults, so I never accept them. I don't talk down to people, so I never allow anyone to talk down to me. I've cursed out a whole lot of people who will never speak to me again, and that's okay. Because you get treated in life the way you teach people to treat you. And that's what we need to learn. All right, y'all. Thanks for joining us on The Open Eye. Hope you learned something. I know I did. Okay. Destiny determines who enters your life, but you decide who stays. Therefore, value those who value you, and none treat those as a priority who treat you as an option. I'm Patrice Gibbs. This has been Open Eye on WHGE 95.3 FM. Thanks for joining. All right. Thanks for joining me. I gotta get out of here. They're doing some construction outside. They gave me a little minute. It's all good. As I always tell you, global African supremacy. Because the world was a better place when the African ruled. Peace.